Death Note is my favorite anime of all time. I think I've rewatched it fucking at least 6 times. Let's see.
I am justice. I protect
and shock the Death Note. All rally
justice.
but with great
I wanted to pull up a video that doesn't have like reaction, so that I could have the music from the show. I think it's incredible. I absolutely agree. Okay, we'll just do this then. I'll just talk about it. Gosh, I mean, where to start? That's really the problem for me. I have so many things I could and would want to say about this. Dude, the music's even better on second walkthrough, but yeah, or watch through, because you know what's gonna happen. You can just fucking jam out to songs like, I think it's like L's theme. No, it's L's theme 2. L's theme 2 is such a fucking boppity banger booty bop. Yes, I fucking love this song, guys. So, in Death Note, the 2 main protagonists for most of the show are Light and L. This is L's theme B. I think it's a good place to start just because, like, musically, it just, when you think of L, it makes perfect sense. It's a very obvious fit. It's very contemplative. It's very, kind of like, it's like a thinking song. I mean, that's really how I would put it. It's like a thinking song. It reminds you of, like, the gears running in someone's head, of things fluttering around, repeating over and over and over. Yeah, it's just really good. I'm going to talk about the first section one more time, and then we'll get to the best part of this song. Yeah, this is odd. I just love the tone on these guitars as well. It's so specific. And also there's a perfect level of reverb and like distance on the main guitar, the guitar that's doing the there's a really nice, like, it sounds like it's kind of like an alarm going off in like the corner of a room, you know, and like just visual in my mind's eye, the sound of that guitar repeating, I really associate it with like the inside of L's bass, you know, where they go at, like, I don't know, like episode 15 or something, you know, that like secure giant computer room where the entire team works together when Light and L are handcuffed. Like, just this, the ringing kind of alarm sound of that guitar and the way it repeats, it really reminds me just aesthetically of that base of operations that L and his team were utilizing. And what's funny though is you probably, there's a good chance if you haven't actually taken the time to like sit down and listen to this soundtrack, this part coming up you might not have noticed, because in the show whenever this part comes up, it's always over dialogue, of course. So the music is very, very quiet in the background, and of course, you know, you shouldn't be really be focusing on the music in a show like Death Note because there's so much dialogue, so many characters, so much to remember and follow along with. But right here, there's this. So far we've had kind of this like build up, right? Of the gears are turning, we're thinking, we're putting things together, ideas have been floating around in our brain, and then 10 seconds, excuse me, choked on my own spit. 10 seconds from where I'm about to start playing, we get the aha moment musically. So we've had the build up, the thinking, the building, the contemplating, and then in this big explosion of wonderful, I guess it's like a major chord followed by a minor chord. Yeah, we get this It's just this wonderful wall of sound that I think really represents the like gotcha moment, or anytime L like says something that's really like profoundly important to the investigation, and it's like a aha, I figured it out moment. That's exactly, just musically, I think, what this whole section has captured. So check it out. We're in the build up, and we're going to build up to the aha moment of L learning something, for example. This song is just such a fucking bop, man. It's incredible. Bam, bam, bam. I could do an entire stream talking about Death Note. Yeah, I could, absolutely. I could do many days and months worth of talking about just Death Note's everything. Yeah, well, I guess it's one of the pieces of media that I would say I'm a pretty definitive expert on. I even went into theaters and fucking saw one of the really, really shitty, cheesy live-action Death Note movies. Like, I went into theaters and saw it, and it was bad. But it was Death Note, so I had to go. So, yeah, you get the idea. I guess let's go to the most obvious place, Lights theme. Okay, so right off the bat, oh my god, Tamikaze! Holy fuck! Welcome, dude. It's been a while. We're talking about the Death Note soundtrack. I'm doing some music theory and story analysis on the Death Note OST. So, Lights theme, right off the bat, like compared to L's, which when L's themes start, you know, it's a little, like, creepy. It's a little, you know, kind of freaky, or maybe just slightly anxiety building. Oh, also one thing I wanted to say that I didn't say about L's theme is that, so I mentioned how we have this recurring guitar motif, the really high fret, high string guitar, da 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 da, the one that's doing that. After the break into the heavy section, the aha moment, as we were saying, listen to that guitar and how I think the riff changes just a little bit to compensate for the chord changes, but it might actually be the exact same riff. So I'm gonna play it again. We're on back to L's theme B. The last thing I wanted to talk about L's theme B. So I'm gonna play like 30 seconds. And so listen to how, at the start of this section that I'm playing, the alarm sound is, you know, kind of sounds like an alarm. It sounds like something needs to get your attention. Hey, be alerted to this. Something's going on. And then in the transition, when it gets louder, it becomes more of like a complementive, like augment to the song. And it kind of feels more like it's a presence that is assisting and helping and providing a really cool, like just, you know, supportive lick and riff, as opposed to it being this somewhat ominous alarm sound. Just notice how this it's an example of how you can have one riff and it's the exact same riff that just repeats and repeats and repeats, but when you change the underlying chord progression foundation that's harmonizing with it, it brings an entirely new distinction to the way that sounds. So focus on the high-pitched guitar. Also, one thing that's just worth pointing out is that in this section now that we've just started listening to, the from the very, very beginning of the song has now re-entered the track after being gone for a while. And it's more assertive and heavier now. You can tell that the string hits are a lot more aggressive, and they're really trying to wring that noise out, make it sound more like a whine, you know. Okay, L's theme. So, good thing to think about going into Light's theme is just how immediately, right off the bat, I'm talking 0.1 seconds into the song with Light's theme, it is just so fucking full of despair. It's so full of angst and despair, and it's like it from the get-go there's kind of just this dark weakness to it. And now, right here, we're going to get this in the background, a really high-pitched wailing electric guitar. It's going to wail on one note at a time, and then it's going to dissonantly drop just a half step to a more frightening and, I would say, frankly, evil kind of sound. So, yeah, we're about to get that high-pitched guitar wail that it kind of emulates like the sound of a person screaming, you know? Right here. It's fucking horrifying. Ooh, dude, this song is fucking scary, dude. And now, I think what's really fascinating is how this section right here, the electric guitar, that was very frightening and evil. Right here, it's about to really transition to something that's more sad and mournful, and it really kind of again sounds less like a scream and more like a cry for help. And it's this wonderful, beautiful, tragic duality of Light in that we do see throughout the story that there is a version of him that never touches the death note and does maintain a very genuinely lawful good disposition when he loses his memories, you know, and he's like, I could never see myself becoming that way. And I think he's being honest. And what I love about Death Note is I think that's one of the big things that it asks is is Light really... Is he truly being honest? And how much does he know? How much can he comprehend? Because if he loses all those memories, he's also losing years of maturity that was occurring alongside those memories. So arguably, he's young. He's kind of mentally and emotionally younger because he's not remembering huge chunks of his life. So I don't know. It's just this beautiful duality. So yeah, again, that high-pitched electric guitar has been very frightening and evil up until now. And it's going to transition to something that sounds a lot more sad and mournful, which I think both of those things just beautifully represent the duality of Light Yagami. Piano. Like that little section there where the electric guitar really wails and everything kind of builds up for a second. It reminds me of like an Alice in Chains song, you know? Just the very specific melancholy and despair and depression that people like Lane Staley are very good at expressing. But now the drums are going to come in. So it kind of gives us this, it gives us a tempo. It gives us arguably a motivation and a determination to Light's character. The tempo here, the beat coming in is, well, I've made my bed. I've sown my. I'll reap what I sow. I'm going to commit, and I'm going to be this awful, evil person who I justify in my mind in some sick, twisted way as being, in the right. So again, I would say the drums kind of represent like a commitment that Light is committing to this life that he's chosen. Because I think that's what's fascinating about Death Note is in a lot of anime and series in general, the main character, he doesn't get as much choice as Light does. There's always some kind of like MacGuffin-y, like cheesy cliche trope that's like pushing the character to do things. But in Death Note, it is 110% on Light. Everything he did was 110% on his own head. And of course, here is the big moment of the song. Not much to say. It's really just all of the character analysis stuff. I'd say is set in stone at this point. But we just get. I really love this this big build up right here. It's really it just feels like such a great culmination. It really brings to mind the images of, for me, the end of the show. I'm not going to say what happens for those in chat who have not watched the whole thing, but like this big build up here at the end, I always get flashes of how like the last few episodes, and physically and emotionally and mentally where Light is at in that part of the show.